Thank you very much for having us, and Boaz, great to be up here with you. I thought we'd start if you could just tell us more about where the UN is in this space and why you're interested and what you think the sort of power of storytelling is here.
Sure. So my title is Chief Creative Officer of UNDP. It's a fancy title to basically say a very simple thing. I try to translate the UN into a language that everyone can understand. Great shout out to Heather of talking about what was it? Theory of change. That doesn't even scratch the surface of what we deal with. 90-page reports that are meaningless to anyone. White papers they happen every day. They're written in UNese, which is very similar to other languages, but is not at all comprehensible. And so I feel that I'm a translator. I should be called the Chief Translating Officer, although I only speak a few languages. But I do speak UNese, and I can translate those very, very complicated, dense messages that we have into a language that people can understand. Now, the UN is also, we're in this building. I have to be careful because I have to be reverent to this incredible building. We believe often that when we open our mouth, people will listen. We've believed this for a very long time, that we are so important and we save the world and we have such good intentions that the minute that we speak, everyone will stop in their tracks and they will listen to us. And obviously, we all know here that that's entirely not true because no one listens. So my other endeavor is to try and find new audiences and try and reach them with messages that can resonate with them. So speak in a language that people understand, but also speak in a language that maybe touches their heart, maybe has a little bit of humor in it, maybe we try something different and we try and reach people where people are, not where we expect them to be, but where they actually are. And so that encompasses, we're facing some extremely difficult crises around the world. First and foremost among them is the climate emergency, but many others as well. But we need to communicate that, and we need to communicate it in a way that people will actually understand and will resonate with, and perhaps we can try and encourage them to take action.
Amazing. And you have a few projects that you've been working on that we're going to get to see right now, right?
Yeah, so a few years back, some policy wonks at the UN came to me and said, we really need a campaign around fossil fuel subsidy reform. How many people in this room know about fossil fuel subsidies? A few, but not many. Fossil fuel subsidies are paid by governments, by our governments from our tax dollars to subsidize fossil fuels, believe it or not. And so this year, $800 billion of money is being used to subsidize fossil fuels. And do you know where that money doesn't come to consumers? That money goes to the oil producers, or 80% of it goes to the oil producers. Last year, Shell had a record year for profit. They had a profit of $30 billion. They still got subsidies because they need them so much. So this is a deficit. We are in the red for $800 billion. So when we say we're going to dedicate $100 billion towards the developing world and the needs there as we adapt and mitigate for the climate emergency, that's still $700 billion in the deficit. So it's a big deal. And we have to get that right before we get anything else, except it just took me 3 or 4 minutes to explain it in the simplest way I could. We don't have that kind of time when we're trying to reach people. So we did this instead.
You okay? You need a minute? Cool. Listen up, people. I know a thing or two about extinction. And let me tell you, and you'd kind of think this would be obvious, going extinct is a bad thing. And driving yourselves extinct? In 70 million years, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. At least we had an asteroid. What's your excuse? You're headed for a climate disaster, and yet every year governments spend hundreds of billions of public funds on fossil fuel subsidies. Imagine if we had spent hundreds of billions per year subsidizing giant meteors. That's what you're doing right now. Think of all the other things you could do with that money. Around the world, people are living in poverty. Don't you think helping them would make more sense than, I don't know, paying for the demise of your entire species? Let me be real for a second. You've got a huge opportunity right now. As you rebuild your economies and bounce back from this pandemic, this is humanity's big chance. So here's my wild idea. Don't choose extinction. Save your species before it's too late. It's time for you humans to stop making excuses and start making changes. Thank you.
So, I mean, this was difficult to do because the UN is not funny. We're really, I'm sure you realize that today, but we're not funny. So this was the first attempt at us kind of reaching a mass audience. It was a way for us to try and be where people are. People want to watch films about dinosaurs. When he's called Frankie the Dino, when Frankie walks into the General Assembly, you think that you're watching another Jurassic Park film and he's going to eat everyone, but then it turns out a little bit differently. And so then after that, we wanted to do another campaign around the climate emergency, but this time we wanted to be a little bit more general than the very precise instructions to talk about fossil fuel subsidy reform. By the way, in COP26 in Glasgow, this campaign got fossil fuel subsidy reform for the first time on the COP agenda in 26 years. So we had actual impact in the real world with this campaign. In the world that I live in, that's impossible. Like no one impacts the COP agenda. So we were very proud of that. So we wanted something that was a more kind of like something that was more general. And we saw a lot of studies that showed us that the best way to take get people to take climate action is to remind us of our children and of the next generations. And so that's what we leaned into. The other part that we leaned into is that we used to talk about the weather because we didn't have anything better to talk about. It's a nice day today. It's raining. Helena has just been categorized as a Category 3 hurricane, and that's what's happening now. Every single day, the weather is breaking news. So we wanted to kind of like marry those two things together, and so this is what we came up with.
I'm Kaylee with the very special weather report. From up there to down here, everything is crazy. If we don't listen to scientists, things are going to be even crazier when I grow up. Let's look at the forecast for 2050. Heat waves will affect 94% of children, making playing outside a thing of the past. Extreme droughts will wipe out wheat crops, killing the one food my brother eats, bread. Disasters will cost taxpayers almost $6 trillion. My parents hate taxes. Of course, all of this is caused by a blanket of heat-trapping pollution in the atmosphere that we could just, not put up there. But don't worry, there's still a chance of clear skies. Right now, clean energy systems are moving in from the east to the west, creating tons of cool jobs. And solar prices have dropped lower than oil and gas. Going through the satellite, it looks like a high-pressure system of grown-ups could still move in and protect kids from an avalanche of really bad stuff. Some gusty political winds ahead, but they're no match for the power of Hurricane Felicia. That's my mom. We'll keep you posted as we track if adults stop wasting time and fix this totally solvable problem. Because it's not just a weather report to us, it's our future.
Thank you. I'll pass it back to you. But basically, we managed to hack the media with this. We got this into 400 broadcasters on a single day in 97 countries in 42 languages by essentially going through the back door and speaking to meteorologists. Meteorologists are out there on the front lines of climate change, but they have no way to tell the story. And so we gave them the trope that they needed, the foil that they needed in order to talk about it. And we had this incredible. We had a zero media budget, but we were on 400 broadcasts as primetime news. And so that's kind of what we are trying to do. We're trying to really speak in a language that people can understand us. This brought me to the understanding that this is the way forward, and then when Heather called and said that this is what she's doing, my eyes lit up, because this is my big passion. How can we get the entertainment industry? How can we get film? How can we get you guys involved in this and be part of this and be part of pop culture and really push this forward in a way that will create some kind of movement?
Yeah, I personally am so glad you brought that up, because that is a lot of what I work with our member companies on. So our coalition at the Sustainable Entertainment Alliance is the leading studios and streamers, Amazon, Disney, Netflix, NBC Universal, working on both decarbonization of the actual production of film and television, but increasingly how we can support a sustainable future on screen. So hearing you talk about, speaking the language that's going to break through to people and putting it in terms that they can understand, I think is a thing that we think about a lot. And I think for us, one of the things that we believe is that this entertainment should be entertaining, and it doesn't have to be a scary documentary that makes you feel bad, but can be ways to incorporate these stories into small moments or blockbuster events. And so we've got a video that we've been putting together of showing how we can do that to try and make people know, because I think a lot of people in the industry will hear, oh, you want to tell a climate story, it's going to be, something sad and depressing. So we want to paint a different picture.
Want to see a story about climate change?
Oh, no. No!
We get it. We really do. Climate change is scary. It can make us feel, a little anxious.
I'm just trying to articulate the science.
I know, but it's so stressful.
And we turn to movies and TV to escape. But what if we changed the question? Want to see a great story? Stories can engage with the climate, even as they entertain.
All right, but only because I like Earth.
Whether they are dramatic.
What if the world were to get slightly warmer?
So if that happens,
we lose.
Or funny.
Happy Earth Day, everyone. I'm Recyclops. Did you know that an old milk carton can be sawed in half and used as a planter?
She's worried about the end of the planet. She's gotten the message that we're doomed.
Or stories of courage.
Magical. She'd say everything you want to dream away. We are legends every day.
It doesn't feel right to do nothing.
You can break something in 2 seconds, but it can take forever to fix it. That's why we have to be careful on this earth.
Stories about protecting what you love.
Come with me.
Dubai Air is owned by a horrible company, one that has turned the southern coast of Nigeria into a hellish, fiery swamp. I can no longer wear their name on my chest.
How will you be remembered? There's someone who fought back.
Did you just proactively protect the environment?
Maybe.
Well, our theme is climate crisis meets extinction event, but in a fun way.
Okay.
Oh, it's breathtaking.
Or a story of adventure.
Wakanda will no longer watch from the shadows. We must find a way to look after one another as if we were one single tribe.
Climate change is the story of our time, and it's being told right now in small moments and blockbuster events that are connecting with audiences worldwide.
Together we can change the world.
So, want to tell a great story?
Let's get it done.
Go to climateonscreen.org, where climate and great stories connect.
I love that.
Yeah, I think the goal is to show that we can make this entertaining. But that's an area where I wanted to talk more with you, Boaz, is sort of how do you think about the balance of, obviously the climate crisis is this incredibly urgent and scary thing that we're all living through, but what do you think about the balance between entertaining people and getting audiences to pay attention with the urgency of what we need to do?
So I think Jennifer mentioned it before. Doom and gloom doesn't work. We know that for a fact. It's never worked. There's no way that we can scare people into taking action. We need to bring them along. But also, and this is not kind of like something that I don't believe in. I believe in this very strongly. There needs to be a message of hope. Now, in the climate emergency, as we see it today, it does seem like the overriding narrative is a narrative of, oh my God, we're going to die. But that's not the truth. The truth is that we can beat this crisis. The truth is that there's been a huge amount of progress. The truth is that, yes, we're living in the worst of times, but honestly, we're also living in the best of times. Recently, we learned that, just as an example, that China, the world's biggest emitter, was going to peak its emission by 2030. So that's another 5 years of heavy emissions before they start to bend the curve and start going down. And recently we found out, very recently we found out, that they're actually going to peak in 2025. And then they're going to start kind of coming down. So we have an enormous opportunity here. We also believe that this is going to be the biggest boon of humanity. Billions of jobs, trillions of dollars, all will have to go into creating a new economy, a new way of thinking, a new world in a way. So the message of hope is absolutely vital to this, and that's how we get people involved. No one wants to be part of a losing team, but everyone wants to be part of a winning team. And so, I leave you with an image of Rosie the Riveter. Do you guys all know Rosie the Riveter? That's the spirit that we need. That's the spirit that we want. That's how we get people in. We are all in this together. It's not Americans versus Ugandans versus the French. It's humanity versus the climate emergency, and that's the message we have to go with. And that's where the hope comes in, and how we reach people.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that is. What we see also is just the incredible power of storytelling to highlight that, but also to bring stories up that we're not hearing, of hope, of what people are doing and how people are taking action all around the world, because as you said, it is a global crisis. I think that's all the time we have, but thank you for this, and thank you for these incredible videos. Hopefully there's more to come.
And thank you for your video. That was amazing too.
Awesome. Thank you very much.